Welcome, everyone. It's that time of the month for a new episode of Talking XP, where we discuss some of our favorite things, which just so happens to include games, movies, and most importantly, D&D. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'm the host, Johnny, and today we have Ryan. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Doing all right, doing all right. Zach, how are you?
Doing good. Spooky's out. Now I'm feeling only merry.
Yes, merry and cheery.
Merry and cheery.
Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing great, although as opposed to merry, I would definitely say I'm feeling like more bright.
Okay.
But that's just me, I think.
That's an issue. I don't think I've ever felt bright. That sounds kind of nice, actually.
Well, it's like how you have Santa Claus and I have candles.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
True. Yeah,
So
merry,
wait, hold
bright.
on. Do we wish? Are we supposed to wish people a bright Hanukkah? Is that?
No, that was what do you? How else are you supposed to feel on Hanukkah? Like I don't.
Well,
there's not that much.
I'm
to go
genuinely
on.
curious.
Happy Hanukkah, right? I mean,
You can feel happy, sure. You can feel merry. There's no
Yeah,
reason
you
you
can
can't
just
feel merry.
happy. It's happy Hanukkah. I'm pretty sure. I think it's just happy. Yeah.
I mean,
Start
merry,
wishing people a bright
Anyway.
Christmas.
merry
Anyway.
Hanukkah.
Sorry to get us off
Yeah,
topic.
okay, yeah, we'll get back. Okay, so glad to hear that everybody's doing either merry, cheery, or
Feeling
bright.
a little more bright already.
Yeah. So to our schedule, we're all excited to be making this kind of content for you all, and we're going to be releasing these regular episodes every third Tuesday of each month, with a little bit of content sprinkled here and there, but we'll go ahead and follow our social media accounts at talking_XP, and you'll be able to keep up to date with all of those. Few announcements. We have a Discord server. You can find a link below just to join into our growing community, and also we have a Patreon. So we'd like to thank all the patrons that have supported so far.
Thank you, patrons.
The
Love
two
you.
of them, Steven and Kristen, so thank you so much.
Steven. Hi, Kristen. Thanks to you. Thank you.
And yeah, that pretty much finishes our announcements. Not too much this month, but that just means that it's time to talk about some games, movies, and news, which top of the line is
Coming right out the gate with it.
Cyberpunk.
Oh, here we go.
Woohoo! Yeah, Cyberpunk.
You've been like frothing at the mouth to talk about this thing.
Oh yeah.
You've been so excited. Both of you.
Don't even get me started, man.
We want to get you started. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. Now's the time to unleash.
I was being facetious. You're really not reading me today. Please get me started.
So, I'll start off with saying I have played 11 and a half hours into Cyberpunk from yesterday into today, which today we're recording on the 11th. I stayed up until 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Today
Whoa.
playing, and then I woke up and I started playing even more. And I think the reason why is because I am enjoying the game.
That's good.
However,
Uh-oh.
oh my god, are there bugs? There have been countless times that, and I play on PS5.
Mm-hmm.
There have been countless times where the PS5 crashes and there are glitches that make quests unachievable. So I have to reload a save in which
Oh, wow. That's so
the
bad.
PS5 crashes. It's been a struggle, to say the least. My first impression on this game, loading it up and playing it, was very underwhelming to begin with. The prologue I was expecting a certain ambiance, and after, however long we've waited, I was expecting it to be just like top shelf, and it didn't hit that to begin with. However, playing further into Act 1, and I'm currently into Act 2, it gets better. It gets better in the sense where it starts to actually roll and flow as a video game. I was expecting it to start off like a movie, but other than that, that was my first impressions on that. Daniel, how did you feel about it?
So because after I give you my opinion, because it's going to come out a certain way, I have to give you my background with Cyberpunk as an idea and also just as a genre in general, because Cyberpunk is basically everything that I want out of a game. I've felt this way about a game once before, and that was with Red Dead Redemption 2. And I feel a similar way about Cyberpunk that I feel about Red Dead Redemption 2. When I was a kid, there were two genres that I loved the most, and that was Westerns and then essentially Cyberpunk. Philip K. Dick was one of my favorite authors, Neuromancer by William Gibson, who...
Oh, I've read that book.
In a large way, like, helped to create what Cyberpunk as a genre is. You know, that book was huge for me. I just love all of just the world that evokes of like mega corporations and the internet, or like the cyberspace as like this tangible thing that people can interact with and manipulate, is just so right up my alley. Where even like the words that they use in Cyberpunk, like, you know, jacking into decks and all this stuff, like it is terminology that comes from all of these older books and that we see in things like The Matrix and all kinds of other, you know, movies and stuff that are in that genre. I love it so much. It fascinates me, and my experience with the game, I think I'm about 5 hours in, is pure joy. I have experienced very few bugs, and this may be because I have not progressed particularly far into the story. I know this because I don't want to give any descriptors. You know, I really want to try and avoid spoilers because I know I'm not very far in, but obviously we all know from the marketing materials that Keanu Reeves is in the game.
Yes.
I have not met Keanu Reeves. So I don't know when that happens. It hasn't happened for me yet. So I don't know if that means that how far back in the story I am. But all I'm doing right now is just doing random side quests and hopping in my car and driving around and seeing what kind of things I can hack. And most of it's just like, I just see like just stuff is happening on the street that I just find interesting. And then I kind of get involved and shoot stuff out, and I find the dialogue really engaging.
How much stuff is there on the street?
On the street, I mean, there's so many. Like the streets, it feels extremely full to me, and I don't know how you feel about that, Johnny.
So,
but the world feels very populous to me.
So playing into that, I finished Act 1, which a certain thing happens, and I decided to, instead of taking the car, walk around and just kind of see how that kind of feels, I guess, right? And there's a point where like you cross into the downtown and all you can hear around you is like all of these stores and these random advertisements that are popping out, and you can hear people talking in the background about jacking into this or watching this hollow tape, or, you know, things like that. That is where I was like, this is cool. This is the ambiance that I wanted in the very beginning, which I think what also ruined it for me was the bugs. There are countless sound cues that are just off. One being when you're fighting with your fists, you can parry if you do like the perfect block, you know? And so you parry somebody's attack and then punch them back. So it'll be like, you'll hear the sound and then it'll do it with the fist.
Oh no, so like everything's just like a half second out of sync.
There are some things that are just out of sync. And it really ruins the immersion.
That's
to start
immersion
with.
shattering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is just with the fighting. There was also another time where the moving into another sequence in the story. So there's a point where you close a case, and that's supposed to be like, you know, the sound goes off, or the video goes off, it goes dark, and then you appear into this, you know, the situation that you were planning for. You close the case and move on. But it was like, case closes in front of you, and then it was like, kuh. So it was like, or no, sorry, flip that. It was sound, then it closes, then it goes dark, and it's just like, it broke it completely for me. I was like, that would have been cool if it wasn't buggy.
See, I'm curious if perhaps some of the issues that you're running into is because you clearly have the disc version of the PS5. I heard you say you ordered it from Amazon.
Correct.
And then Daniel has the digital version of it. So I'm wondering if maybe that's part of the differences.
That's true.
Possibly. There was.
Are you playing it on a disc?
I am playing it on the disc, yes. And
interesting.
There was another update that came out today, and I'm not entirely sure what they released with it. I didn't notice very much of a difference.
Have you had crashes since the update?
Oh yeah, I've had countless crashes. I mean, so before the update, I've had crashes loading another save because there was this one point where you have a conversation with a person and it's very high tension and you have to talk them down from something. And I walked into the room and it started the conversation, and then the cues between each sentence were off. So the person said something and as I pressed what I was responding with, it overlapped and then it reset that conversation again. And then after resetting the whole conversation, it threw it off so much that it turned into a gunfight. And I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do that. So then I reloaded the quick save that happened and then it crashed. So I was like, cool, I'm going to try and reload that. Crashed. It seems that it was only with quick saves. So I had to go back I think I was able to go back enough to where it wasn't a all loss kind of situation. I think I was able to go back maybe 20 minutes, which sucks, but it's not as bad as, having to start it all over again.
It's not the end of the world, but it's
right.
It's not great.
It's annoying, but I went in, I started the conversation again. It happened again, but I was able to hold my next response before she finished, or after. I held the response until after she finished that sentence so it didn't overlap again and fuck it all up. So then I was able to continue with that.
Right, so it's a repeatable bug.
I've had one crash like that where there was a bug, I couldn't complete a mission. And then I've had 2 other just crashes, usually after I die and then loading it back in. But honestly, 3 crashes in 5 hours on the PlayStation 5, not bad. Miles Morales crashed for me about the same number of times. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Could just be hardware. PS5's new. It's been having a lot of issues. He makes a good point. Miles Morales, been having issues with a lot of other games.
I mean, I will say, I think my experience has been abnormal. I've seen a lot of other people. I mean, the reviews, obviously, people on PlayStation 4s sound like they can barely play the game.
Right.
If they can at all. Even PC has problems.
And they say that they're not even going to release, because we're playing the PS4 version on consoles at least.
Oh, really?
They're saying that they're going to be releasing the PS5 and Xbox Series X version next year at some point.
Yeah, probably when the first DLC drops is what I would guess.
Interesting.
So this is technically not up to its full potential, I guess, air quotes.
It's gonna be amazing because I mean you can already see how good it looks on PC.
So it is a good game for sure. It was not ready, and it sucks because we waited so long for it to come out.
After all the delays.
After all of the delays and everything like that, they should have waited longer. It feels like I'm playing a beta.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I'll be honest. I feel like that's a little harsh. And I think you know what I think is ironic.
Here's the thing though. You say that you think it's harsh, but it's somewhat true from what I've read. I mean, I haven't obviously played it myself, but at least jumping onto the Steam forums for it and going back and forth between the Steam forums for Cyberpunk as well as the Avengers one. They're the player base on the PC, at least last night when I checked it, was about the same. Actually, Avengers had more people playing it, and it wasn't very many. It was less than 1,000. It was not doing great.
I mean, look, I think that what it comes down to is it finished? Is it even in a generally kind of great state? No, absolutely not. But I think it's funny that people are so hard on CD Projekt Red for a game that, okay, yes, again, it definitely has a lot of things that need to be fixed. And I don't want to make excuses for stuff that's just unfinished or could be better, especially when they've had all this time and they could have just delayed it another week. But I mean, Fallout 4, all of the issues we're describing, I had the exact same issues with Fallout 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And admittedly, that's a game that came out a long time ago, but Bethesda does the exact exact same thing. I mean, they release games that are honestly, in some cases, way less playable.
Garbage.
To be fair, I am playing it on a PS5. Like, there are reasons why it's running so well for me. And again, I've only played 5 hours. That's not a particularly long amount of time. But I've had, there are other games that come out that people give a lot of praise to that are great, but that have a lot of issues, but that somehow just get a pass because that's more of the expectation. But I think Cyberpunk can also be fixed, unlike Bethesda.
Yeah, right. No, and 100%. I have had countless errors and issues with the game. That's why I feel, in my perspective of playing the game, it feels like it's a beta. Because there have been, I wrote down, I have a long list of different bugs. I mean, just going through, like I said, the loading on the quick saves crash, the NPC conversations not working exactly correctly, highlighting over specific, responses when you're having those NPC conversations. It'll be, so you have like a light blue highlight over the which one you want to say, and it's also light blue text underneath, so you can't see what it says. So you have to move in order to see what it even says. That's another thing. You have the PC bug, that the big dick out of the pants, and I'm not even gonna go that far into it.
Oh man, I hope they keep that one in. That one's so funny.
And then you have, I left a quest right when they opened a door. I came back after doing something, and I couldn't open that door, so I had to reload a save, and that save, the quick save, I couldn't load because of that crash. So I had to go back another 20 minutes just to do that. And then the prologue, there was cues that if they were to have fix the bugs, it would have been better, but it just didn't look right. There's loading issues where there's this thing called brain dance, where it's kind of like a virtual reality type of thing, and you load into it. Like a
mind palace?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And you load into it, and it creates this series of events that you watch and play as a VR kind of. We'll just compare it to VR. You load into it, and as you go into it, it has to load that sequence. So it breaks that immersion, because you're watching like these flashing lights as it turns you into this VR set of, images and video. So you're like, oh, this is so cool. And then you have to load for another 5 minutes until it gets into that sequence. Then the sequence is over.
What?
And it
5
ends.
minutes? You had to wait 5 minutes to get into that sequence?
Okay, maybe not 5 minutes. That was a
because
little
for
harsh.
me, it was instantaneous. I'll just say that. I know exactly what sequence you're talking about. There was no delay for me.
So then
it was from one to another.
That might be something that has to be related to the disc then. I mean, it is very possible that is a thing. But at the same time, you're loading it onto your PS4 or PS5. Anyways, but besides that, and then you have, the sound cues that are off. You have people clipping into things all the time. The one thing that I do want to say though is that they got traffic and people walking really well. Like, I like how it creates a good ambiance with people driving and walking by.
They don't feel like computers.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But anyways, there have been a lot of bugs that I have come up to that I feel the game wasn't ready, and it broke a lot of the immersion for me. However, all of that aside, the game is still good. I don't think that it's pertinent to get it right now. I think that had I known, I don't know. I think I still would have gotten it.
No, you would have got it. Let's be real.
But if you're on the fence and you don't know if you want to get it right now, I would say wait until they have a workable, and I say that in air quotes, workable game with all of the fixes already included.
Wait till they patch it a few times. Give it some time in the oven.
And I would say that if you're playing on a PC or a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, I'd say get it right now. And if you have something else, I'd say wait a little bit. That would be my opinion, genuinely.
Yeah, the old
because
tech.
I think that even with those issues, I think the game is still special enough, and that you'll want to play it while it's hot and while, everyone's fresh, so that way you can avoid any kind of spoilers, because I think that so far what I've experienced of the story has been top notch. And I think that if you are into that kind of a thing and that style of game and those RPGs, it is pretty amazing.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. Zach,
one of the best I have ever played so far.
I have a few questions on this topic because I have not played the game.
Yes.
So games come out, buggy all the time. You mentioned Bethesda and Fallout 4, and like I would not say that those are good practices. I would probably criticize them just as much as for criticizing this company, you know, but of course, it really depends on what they do next and how much they fix it, you know, what happens.
And the patch today is supposed to fix a lot of those crashing issues that we were just discussing.
That's good. So yeah, we'll have to see it in the long run, but my question is, did either of you play Witcher 3 on launch?
Dude, that was buggy. I was so buggy.
Was that similar? Was it in a similar state? And then how does that compare to Witcher 3 now?
No, absolutely. So I played Witcher 3 when it was released. It was definitely buggy, and I really think that it is also you have to keep in mind that they have a lot of stuff when it comes to open world.
Oh yeah, they got a lot going on. I'm sure it's a huge game. I know Witcher is, so.
When you have something like, I was thinking about this too, Last of Us 2, you know, the graphics are great, but they don't have to worry about everything else around. They can make these small, you know, levels that you go through. Right, because it's
more linear.
Right. And so you kind of have like a tier list where you want to put your focus on. And for Cyberpunk, the map is massive. And that's only just the city. There's surrounding areas that I haven't even yet unlocked, but you can go in the map and kind of like zoom over. It's huge. So with that being said, of course it's going to be buggy. There's so much ground to cover that of course there's going to be bugs in all of that ground. So I think that I didn't expect it to be perfect. It's just, so yes, compared to Witcher 3, going back to the question, yes, it was buggy at Witcher 3. There are still some bugs. It is what it is. Games have bugs all the time.
All I'm saying is they've proven before that they can take a train wreck on launch and turn it into an immaculate game. So like,
and I will say that honestly, I had an incredible amount of bugs with Witcher 3. Witcher 3, for me, had one of the worst bugs I've ever experienced in a game.
Oh, really?
A game that stopped my ability to complete the game. A game that I could not continue to use a save because of a bug. So that, for me, The Witcher is one of the worst bugs I've ever experienced. And a reason why I will never get the Platinum Trophy, because I put in all these things to complete all of the quests, and then one quest won't complete because, I don't know, I like started it but didn't finish it. Like it was one of the first quests I took in the game, and so the guy disappeared, and because he disappeared, I could never finish it.
That's a bummer.
And it was just, it's gone. It's locked out. It's still open, but I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, you're saying the map is pretty big. I know GTA 5 doesn't have the largest map. It has a pretty large map. I'm not sure if you ever played it. I'm just curious, you know, how much does it compare to that?
So for me, the Cyberpunk, yeah, I mean, it's a different type of feel. You know, I feel like GTA is a lot more, I don't want to say it like, it feels a lot more.
It's more simple.
Cartoony and, yeah, simple. Yeah. Cyberpunk, there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail in all of the landscape, the high rises, the advertisements that they have, the, you know, little even like the trash that they have around everywhere.
But what about the scale of it though?
The scale of it, like I said,
it feels completely different.
It does feel completely different, and I haven't unlocked the rest of the surrounding area of the city.
So you don't even have like a full grasp of the map
don't
yet.
Not yet.
Well,
okay.
I think that the best way to kind of, did you guys ever play like Assassin's Creed way back in the day?
Yeah.
And then did any of you guys play like Assassin's Creed like from Unity onwards?
I have not played anything.
I stopped at 4.
Unity, yeah.
Okay, because there was this cool thing that happened with Assassin's Creed where obviously there was all this like parkour stuff, and so a lot of it was just set in cities. And so basically like the tallest thing you were gonna climb is maybe like a 4-story building in like a special part of the mission, or like the Colosseum or whatever. But most of like where you were interacting was probably like 3 stories tall, but you couldn't really like go through buildings, or, you know, it was a lot more linear. And then in these later games, as the game got more open and more like RPG styled, and also as the technology increased, like the verticality got crazy. Like in Unity, the reason why I bring up Unity is because it was really remarkable, because they had like they had like scanned a bunch of buildings in Paris, and then they had like remapped them in in Assassin's Creed. And so now you had buildings in a city that could be like, 6 or 7 stories tall next to buildings that were like 1 or 2 stories tall. And so there was a lot more kind of variation in height. And you could also, it would allow you to kind of have more variation across the map as well, until eventually you get to something like Origins where you can scale the pyramids and there are huge cliffs and all this other stuff. In back when they made GTA, everything, it was made on the PlayStation 3, right? And so like the map feels like you can kind of drive through it, but there aren't a lot of different like layers to the map. Like everything, you drive around the place and you climb up Mount Chiliad, and Mount Chiliad's like the highest point, and everything kind of leads up to that. But then you go down the hill and it all just kind of, slopes into the ocean. In Cyberpunk, you're taking elevators that like take you up, and when you look out a balcony, you can see like the city kind of expand before you, or like you hop into a vehicle and you go up in the air and you can kind of see all of these different places, most of which are actually places you can go. So like a huge skyscraper, really, there's a lot more like sense of it's to scale. Like you stand next to a huge building and it feels immense. Like it's actually like a block long, as opposed to like, you feel like sometimes the city size, obviously in games like GTA, is just kind of condensed because of you have to.
Cool, that answers my question then.
And just real quick, it is 2 times bigger than the GTA map.
Awesome.
So I looked it up. Anyways.
Damn.
Just because you're mentioning the thing about Assassin's Creed Unity mapping some of the Paris buildings, it's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, it's sad, but after Notre Dame burned, they're talking about how because they did that and Notre Dame is in Assassin's Creed, that it's now forever captured how it was, in essence. Because
I guess that's true. We have a record of that.
Correct.
Yeah,
and not only that, because they'd done a survey so recently, they can also use it to try and rebuild as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's all I was going to add to that.
Yeah,
but.
no, that was actually, I was hoping someone would bring that up, because I do remember them talking about that, and I thought that was really cool.
It's a nice little fact. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. Okay, well, final thoughts about Cyberpunk. I think it's a really good game. It needs a lot of patches, but it'll get there.
Maybe should have stayed in the oven a little longer, but hey, everybody was burning for it.
Maybe a little bit, but I understand. Yeah, they were delaying it a lot, and I understand why they wanted to just get it out. It is still a good game. We need to wait for the bugs to get fixed.
10 out of 10, no regrets. We're good. I love it. I'm happy I got it.
Daniel's been pretty positive. She's been dumping on the bugs a whole lot. Can you just, like, real quick, 2 minutes, just gush, just say some really nice things about it?
Absolutely.
I haven't heard a lot of pods. Tell me what you love about it real fast.
What
so I'm,
I love
completely neutral on this game.
Yeah.
Go either way.
What I love about Cyberpunk is hacking is super cool. You can hack into somebody's, like, first off, the cybernetics that you can put into your body are sick. You can have like optic eyes that connect to your gun, is what they're saying, with like a hand type of cybernetic upgrade where you can see how many bullets are inside of it. You can have a new like scope and things like that all through your optics, which is really cool.
That's really interesting.
I think that
a cyber dick that shoots lasers.
Yes. No, but
yeah.
Yes.
DLC.
Maybe. Or mod.
Hit me up, CD Projekt Red. Let me know.
So the other thing that I think is really cool is once they do fix the bugs, it's gonna have such a cool ambiance. There is one mission in particular that I think was so cool. That's the reason why I was staying up until 3:30 this morning, was because it was a series of events. It finished Act 1 where you were doing this really cool series of events, and it was super immersive. I felt really cool in it, and that's where you meet Keanu Reeves' character, and it was super cool.
It does sound like a really cool world to just hang out in.
Yeah, so it is definitely a cool world. When they get the bugs fixed, the ambiance is gonna just blow you away. So
10 out of 10 asterisk.
Yes.
Cyberpunk is to that genre what Red Dead Redemption 2 was to Westerns. So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a glowing endorsement.
I don't think any of you guys actually played that game either. And which was also polarizing. People said it was boring and too slow and buggy.
I'll get to it someday.
I got the first game ruined for me, like, and it also had a bug where, kind of similar to what your experience was with Witcher 3, I couldn't play it, and so I was like, man, I'm gonna try and fix this, and then I tried to get it another one, and by that time he's like, oh, blah 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 at the end, and I was like, I don't want to play now. Cool, okay, so I just never played it.
I can't believe the fact that he was a time traveler was such a stupid twist, in my opinion.
It was a choice. It was a choice.
It sucks that you got that spoiled for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, Westerns and time travel, you know. But anyways, Zach, you wanted to bring up a topic that we had already discussed before.
Oh, yeah.
She kills
so,
monsters.
On the first episode, I believe, right? Time is weird and impossible. Daniel brought up a play called She Kills Monsters, and Ryan found a production of it on YouTube. And then I watched it. This is the...
Oh, yeah. What'd you think?
It was pretty good. This is the CCA 2017 production. I don't know what that means, but that's what it's listed as.
I don't know who that is. It's probably college or something.
I don't know. I don't think it was high school. It seemed higher budget than that. There's actually like a shitload of productions on this on YouTube, but they're all high school except for this one, and this was the best one. So it's the one I watched. It was really interesting. Like you said, it's about a girl who lost her sister, and her sister was like way into D&D and created this campaign, and so she tries to like play this campaign out to vicariously like learn about her sister and, you know, meet her and everything. It's pretty good. I don't have a lot of experience watching stage plays, so this was really interesting for me. It had really some negatives first, and then I'll speak because it's mostly positive. But it had some really confusing uses of pop music that I did not agree with. It would just like, bam, cut to like everybody dance now, would just like blast, and just really took me out of it. There's this really annoying and bad boyfriend subplot that I hated. I don't know how well you remember this whole thing, Daniel, but
not well enough for that.
Yeah, there's a boyfriend who sucks, and I hate him. Other than that, though, I thought it was really interesting. It had some good ideas about like self-expression through campaign creation and DMing. I thought it was really cool. Prop work. There's a very good gelatinous cube.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And a very good beholder, and maybe even a very good 5-headed dragon. Who knows?
What?
And those are the things that are going to vary from production to production. So I'm glad that theirs was good, because of course, yeah.
And like I skimmed through some other ones, and it's a mixed bag, but like this production did a pretty good job.
Cool.
See, I wouldn't be surprised too that probably the music choices were probably a choice.
It was definitely.
Yeah.
It felt like a
sound
choice.
design is usually Well, I can't remember it well enough to remember if it was like scripted or not, but.
It felt like a director was really into this and Zach was not. But overall, it was a fun watch. It's got some good laughs, got some heart. I recommend it. It's on YouTube. You can find it pretty easily.
Yeah, we'll have it in the description again. And if you want to, just go back to our first episode and you can listen to us talk about that as well. I think this one has a little bit more detail into it, but it'll have the link there as well. But yeah, go ahead and check out our first episode.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Anyways, the other thing that we wanted to talk about was more related to D&D than Cyberpunk is Baldur's Gate.
My thing was pretty related to D&D. So
yeah, yours was too. Yeah, no, you're right. Baldur's Gate 3 got an update recently, a pretty big one, a substantial update about quite a few different things.
They fixed some of the bugs that people were having issues with. And they also just made some quality of life changes as well. Like one of the biggest things I know me and Johnny always were frustrated with were, whenever you're controlling a party of people and you're trying to navigate the map, there's a lot of sections that they have in the map where you have to jump across something or jump to somewhere else.
And specifically with that jump, you have to click jump, move your mouse over and click where to jump.
That does sound really annoying.
And there are times where if you try and jump over a distance that's too far, you have to pick a specific place in order to make the length of the jump just enough for your strength score to actually match up with that jump.
So you gotta like pull out your protractor to like get the perfect angle across a creek.
Not exactly, but kind of. The problem though Zach, is the
Sounds
fact
fucking
that
annoying.
you have to micromanage everybody in your party so they don't follow you.
You got to do that for everybody?
Every single one. So you, then your party member, then your other one, then your other one, and then finally you can
my
go to
God.
do this quest that you were doing on the
But
other side.
hey, that's one of the things they updated. They made it so
Yes.
it's follow the leader now.
Well, I'm glad they fixed that.
So yeah, so that's a quality of life change.
I haven't even played the game, and I'm glad they fixed that.
The other change they did, they added more short rests. So now you can take 2 short rests between long rests, which you could only do 1 before. So they made some other changes like that. And the other thing that's definitely, I think, in my opinion, the best change of all was originally they made a firebolt, which is a cantrip. They made it do 1d6 in the game. But now they made it do 1d10, which is similar to, 5e. However, from what I've read, though, firebolt was actually kind of broken as well, because what it did is it didn't only shoot the firebolt like normal, but it also caused the ground to catch fire.
All around it. Yeah, at the
All
very
around
bottom.
it. So you'd always get a lot of damage. So technically, I think that's why
wow.
they reduced it to a d6, is because it balances out how much damage you do.
Did Firebolt not just get nerfed in Tasha's Cauldron?
No, not Firebolt. It was Booming Blade and Green Flame Blade.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it was in there.
It was a 5-foot radius, or not 5-foot radius. It was a 5-foot reach, and then they switched it to Self instead of that, just so that it wasn't able to be used for Sharpshooter and Warcaster.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they basically, they in the update that they just did for Baldur's Gate, they made it so now Firebolt's a D10 and it doesn't set the ground on fire unless it's flammable surface like oil. And then they also changed the same thing with the Ray of Frost, where Ray of Frost was still 1d8, but it also made the ground slippery terrain, and they removed the slippery terrain part.
Yeah, so if you were to fail your dex save, you would fall prone with the regular cantrip, which was pretty good. It definitely saved a lot of people in my party from dying, especially from a hill giant at one point. So, anyways.
But yeah, that was pretty cool to see that they updated that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That game's moving along.
Yeah, and I heard that they're going to be uploading some new content into the game here relatively soon with another update at some point.
That's cool. I didn't hear that. I know I've been following the modding community, because the modding community has hopped onto the game like
I bet
crazy.
they've been going nuts on this thing.
Yeah, they have every single one of the main classes now, except for Artificer, which isn't technically a main class until, recently. But they modded in all the different classes. They made it so you can go up to level 20, even though level 20 doesn't really work exactly the way it's supposed to, but they're working on it, and they have bags of holding now. Like, there's a lot of different things that people are doing, which is pretty fun.
Cool.
Well, with all that aside, I think it's time to move into our little segment called 1 Minute One Shot, where one of us is going to take the role of DM and create a simple obstacle that we have to solve. And for this month, Daniel will be DMing for us. Daniel, take it away.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. I think this is actually my first time I've ever DM'd for any of you guys.
I think so.
Okay, so let us begin. You and your adventuring party have been following closely on the heels of a marauding band of goblins. In the town, in the mountains that you had recently stopped by in, you discovered a rash of kidnappings. And so you accept a quest from the local alderman to go and retrieve, hopefully, the living bodies of the kidnapped victims, but at least, bring back the bodies. Regardless, and don't let them stay with their goblins. They were pretty sure that there was a goblin camp that kind of had come through recently. They had some, stolen goods and things from along the road, and so they knew that they were around. You ended up finding the tracks of these goblins, and you've kind of come to the edge of this cliff, this overhang, which 60 feet down below, you see a collection of 8 goblins, including one goblin shaman. They are all kind of surrounding this bonfire, and behind them you also see 3 tied up human prisoners, as well as one young lady that is tied up on like a sacrificial kind of pyre. You've arrived just in time. The goblins appear to be about to ignite the pyre and then continue with their ritual sacrifice. You have only moments as the goblin shaman already stands holding a lit torch.
That throws a wrench in it.
Right next to our maiden. With only moments to spare, what do you and your adventurers do to save the lives of our endangered humans? Who wants to go first?
I have a pretty badass idea.
Okay,
I think I got something, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's go.
Let's say that we have, the typical party, right? You have a wizard, you have a paladin. No, we'll change it to a cleric. Why not? Wizard, cleric, rogue, and a ranger. Okay, so now this is where it gets really interesting. We're gonna jump, right? We're gonna keep the ranger up there. He could stay up there. It's fine. The three of us, the rogue, cleric, and wizard, are all going to jump. The wizard is going to cast, as a reaction, Featherfall on us. And we are going to get a surprise round on this. The cleric is going to cast Hold Person on the shaman, and the rogue is just going to run down and put 2 daggers right into the shaman, and then we're just going to go from there. I think that's the best way to enter in on this great situation. Hold Person on the shaman makes her at least restrained, and if not, I'm pretty sure a rogue dropping from 60 feet into the air and throwing 2 daggers onto the head is gonna deal some pretty significant damage. So
okay, yeah, I like that. That's a clever solution.
That's my idea.
I like that. All right, let's Zach. You want to go next?
I got one. Ryan, you want to go or
no? You go for it.
All right. So what I got is I'm gonna cast. Crap. This is embarrassing. You're gonna have to help me out. It's either minor illusion or prestidigitation or whatever it is, where I can create a super loud noise.
It's minor illusion.
Minor illusion. All right. We're gonna cast minor illusion, and I am going to create a booming voice that speaks in Goblin that says that I am their god and I am displeased with this sacrifice and they must be released immediately.
I love that.
I am so happy that was your idea because that was my idea. When I came up with this,
it's such a
that's what I would have done.
You inspired me.
However, not to throw a wrench into your
I fucking hate it when
party.
You do that.
Minor illusion has a range of 30 feet. So,
how far away
I mean,
are
I
we?
guess we are 60 feet up and you're looking down. You could probably put it midway and then just have it be, I guess, yeah.
I mean, the real question here is, are you the DM here, Johnny?
No, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'll
allow it. So
we're good.
We are A-okay right now.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad.
We're good. As far as I'm concerned, that passes.
Teacher, we have homework.
No, I think it would actually fit really well too, because I mean, being 30 feet up above them, they're looking up and they're thinking, "Oh, this is literally God, talking to us."
Down.
So no, that's
we're gonna have you roll. Don't worry. I'm gonna have you guys all roll after this based off of the scenarios that you're building. So don't worry.
I might have my paladin like crack off some lightning just for effect.
Of course, lightning makes everything better.
Gods always have lightning.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'll have a couple of rolls for you. Once we hear Ryan's.
But that's my idea.
Excellent. I loved it. Like I said, that was my idea too.
That means it's the right one.
All right. I will have so did you say what any of our party is at all? You didn't say any of the classes, correct?
No, you may select.
Cool. So out of the party of probably assuming 4 people, we will have 2 wizards. Then we'll go, the other 2 don't really matter. What's gonna happen is similar to Johnny's idea. We will hop down using Featherfall. However, what I will do is one of the wizards will cast Featherfall on the party of 4, and we'll say one of the characters is a Tabaxi rogue, and they all have at least 3rd level spells, so that means they're at least level 5, which means the rogue can use his bonus action, dash, and etc. So what's gonna happen is everybody hops down, floating down 60 feet, while the other wizard casts major image, and that has a 20-foot cube area, which Featherfall is a reaction, and that's not a... Is that a concentration spell?
No.
Sweet. So while the one wizard casts Featherfall, the other one casts major image immediately in the 20-foot cube area surrounding the sacrifice person, whoever the person is on the pole. And the other wizard's going to cast major image up in the sky, but he's going to move it as you guys float down. So this is what's going to happen. The major image that they see is... You see the person on the pole still, nothing changes. However, what's gonna happen is while they're looking at that, the tabaxi's gonna run in, and the illusion's gonna not show the tabaxi. As it runs in, they're gonna start untying the person.
The old picture in front of the security camera trick.
Except with major image, it's a moving picture. So all they see is struggling. However, with the other major image, which is going to be up in the sky, it has a range of 120 feet. It's going to have a dragon.
Oh God.
Come flying in. And it's screeching, and it has a 20-foot cube, so it can be a pretty good-sized dragon, and it looks real. Obviously, they have to do probably some kind of check to see if they can break through the DC, but they're also at least level 5, so the DC is not going to be super low. And yeah, so
I don't know, 20-foot dragon. Is a 20-foot dragon scary?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how big a normal adult dragon is.
Well, yeah.
Wait, dragons are way bigger than 20 feet.
Some of them.
Tail to tip?
Ancient dragons, but those are rare. I mean, a 20-foot...
Even a small dragon is scary.
A 20-foot dragon would still scare the shit out of me.
Wait, but no, wait. How big is a great white shark? How big is a great white shark?
That's a good question.
10, I think.
Like 20 feet long, sometimes.
12, and goblins are small, so this dragon's gonna be even bigger to them.
Daniel, an adult red dragon is 20 feet by 20 feet.
Wow, I always imagined they were way bigger than that.
No.
To just add into this, great white sharks are up to, if a female is anywhere from 15 to 21 feet, and males are actually smaller, 11 to 13 feet.
Oh, thanks for the fact check.
I always pictured they were way bigger than great white sharks.
No, they're about the same size.
I mean, if it's a male shark, then it is.
I mean, it's still scary. Cannot stress enough how scary it would be.
I thought dragons were like hundreds of feet.
Oh, you're thinking like Smaug from like Lord of the Rings.
It kind of depends on the media, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Smaug.
But also the other part of it too is the great white shark is that long. The dragon is that long and that tall. And wingspan.
It's a giant floating cube of fire.
Oh, trust me, guys. Great white sharks. I mean, they're big. I mean, I've seen some. They're
scary
pretty big.
enough.
Regardless, a 20-foot dragon, whatever, it's still gonna be pretty big. Especially out of nowhere. Like, these goblins are unsuspecting, and all of a sudden they hear this dragon roar and flying in over top.
Yeah.
Like screaming. And then all their attention is going to be focused up on that. Meanwhile, the tabaxi lets go all the prisoners, and you get out of there. And then, after that, they could do combat if they really wanted to. But at least you get all the prisoners saved. Everything else is a cakewalk. That's my idea.
Sure. Yeah, I like that one too. Okay. So I think now we need to do the rolls. So Johnny, I definitely feel like I'm gonna need to see your roll for the spell. Or wait, no, is it just do I just need to do a save or something for the hold person?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a save for the shaman, or I can roll for the the rogue, bringing them attacks onto the shaman. It's
well, no,
I
definitely, if you succeed on the hold person, I think it definitely succeeds.
Right.
If you fail on the hold person, I think it needs to be a stealth roll to see if you actually can sneak down here.
Yeah,
to see. I'm just pulling up. I'm wondering if there is a goblin shaman monster that I can roll as. There probably is. You know what? I didn't even get that far in my prep. I probably should have thought about it. I'm just gonna roll a d20. I'm just gonna roll a d20.
I'll roll it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And what do you think is a fair save?
I said level 3. I would imagine level 3, where you get second level spells. I would say probably around 13, 14, around there.
Okay, yeah, here, let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna roll right now. Rolling. Oh, I got a 17.
Oh God. Okay, so then it doesn't do the hold person.
I probably pass. Yeah, that definitely. Okay, so let's see the stealth roll.
I got a natural 20.
Well, there you go.
I'm not even kidding.
Okay, you succeed. You super sneak. You super sneak
yeah.
in and you stab that shaman, and it's game over. You succeed in freeing the captives. Way to go. So then for you, Zach, I feel like I need to see some intimidation.
All right, here we go.
I need to see intimidation and then deception.
Did I mention I'm proficient in both of those?
Yeah, that's great. You probably are. I'm sure you are. If you're a character that carries illusion and prestidigitation, then yes, you definitely have a charisma
So I rolled
bonus.
a 6 on the first one. Which
Okay,
plus
so
my
it's not
bonuses,
intimidating, but let's see if you can at least deceive them.
it's probably like a 13, right, with all my bonuses? And then I got a 17 on, so they believe me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So you succeed in deceiving them. So what you do first is it confuses the goblins. They're not scared of your trick. They're just confused. They don't
like,
understand where it could
God is
possibly be
here.
coming from. But
Yeah.
that buys you at least a moment. And was there anything else you were doing besides just that trick?
Honestly, I was pretty sure that was just gonna wrap it up, so that's all I had. I'm sure we'll jump down and kill or whatever.
Okay,
but
well in that case, they're just confused for a moment, and then because they're not afraid.
yeah, it gives me enough time. That's all I need.
Yeah, either you make a move then, or he ignites the pyre, and then the maiden is dead. So you get half credit.
Sure, good enough.
And then Ryan, for you, I think the one that also makes sense is another probably deception.
It's an illusion, but yeah, sure.
Oh, true. Yeah.
You could roll a d20. Probably 15 is what you have to beat.
Okay, I'll roll a d20 just to see if it succeeds. I rolled a 14. I'm gonna say that probably fails. I'm gonna say that probably is not a big enough number to overcome your successful illusion with your tabaxi, as well as this dragon that they do presume to be real. So yeah, I'd say you also succeed.
Having a big old dragon swooping down out of nowhere would scare the shit out of me.
It would scare me.
I'm still so confused about this dragon size thing. I'm gonna be honest, it's really messing with my head.
Like, I know, it's a lot to handle. We're gonna make it through it together,
It's
okay?
really messing with me. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Oh boy, I'm gonna try.
May I present one more quick solution to this problem?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're up at the top of the cliff. The ranger of our party poises with his bow to snipe the head off of the shaman just before the pyre comes down. I go behind the ranger and pull off my cloak, revealing that I was just 2 goblins in a trench coat, and I stab him in the back.
Oh my God.
I was with the party the whole time.
Just before.
The sacrifice to our god is complete.
Oh my God. So dumb. But so good at the same time. I love it. Well, with that out of the way, we can get into our D&D discussion topics, which...
Before we move on, can I just say one more thing about the size of dragons?
Absolutely.
Oh. Okay, yes.
This topic could have been put to rest years ago if the people from that website about dragons had just responded to my question about how many dragons I would have to kill in order to make this 40 yards of dragon wings skin. Okay, that's all I want to say.
So this is for everybody else.
Whole thing.
This is a reference to our first campaign of Rise of Tiamat. There were plenty o dragons.
The first day, I believe. The first day of our campaign for me.
And they had just killed a green dragon. And I forget what you were even trying to make with the dragon wings.
I wanted to open up a shop.
But
everything was going to be made of dragon wings.
Leather from, and so it just,
we came up with what, 45 square yards was the
right 45 square.
It's because I misspoke.
Yards.
I meant to say feet, but I said yards instead.
And then
and we were like,
and it turns out 40 square yards is a lot bigger than 40 square feet.
It's a hell of a lot bigger.
And it's just been an inside joke ever since then.
So we've been trying to kill every dragon we could find to try and tick up to that number.
You guys got quite a lot.
It's
I mean,
slow
you guys
going.
killed some ancient dragons and got some of their hide and leather.
Yeah.
But anyways. So with 1 minute one shot out of the way, we're going to get into our D&D discussion topics, which it's going to be me and Zach that have some topics, which my topic is backstories. How do you guys get inspiration? Where do you guys go to when you're making a new character and you want to make a backstory that fits into a campaign? Starting for me, I love Xanathar's guide. Has a very good, it's called Your Story kind of thing, where you roll on a random table just to see the characteristics that you have, what you've experienced in your life, and how it's brought you to where you are today in the game. I've used it for every single one of my characters, and I think it's really good. It adds details that you would never have thought of, like how many siblings you have, if you have a twin, where were you born? Like, literally, where were you born? Were you born in a brothel? Were you born in a house? Were you born, you weren't born? Like, it adds a lot of details that you never would have thought of, and gives you things to branch off of to create these side quests that your DM could branch off of. So I like doing that. But anyways, I want to hear from you guys. What do you all think about backstories? Where do you get your inspiration? How do you make your backstories?
I definitely use the Xanathar's Guide a lot too, every now and then. However, it is pretty fun just to go off of just the suggested ideals, bonds, and stuff like that is suggested in, you know, the player's handbook for the different backgrounds, and then kind of spin off of that, because there's a lot of, you know, variation in those as well, and on top of that, just, you know, looking at the world and movies and television and just what kind of character, like, not archetype, but what, you know, what kind of feel are you looking for. So that's what I do. I do a combination of Xanathar's Guide sometimes, and then sometimes just getting inspiration. If I see something that sounds funny or cool, I kind of just go with it. For those of you who don't know, my background is as an actor, and I went to school for theater as well. So when I create a character, I'm also a little bit of a writer. So whenever I make a character in D&D, I really just fall back on all the things that I use when I'm creating a character or studying a character for a show. When I was in high school, I had this teacher, and one of the things that he gave us when I was maybe like a freshman or a sophomore was he had this packet of just like questions that you should ask yourself about your character. And if you could answer all of those questions, then you'd create like this really deep character.
Interesting.
And it was super true. And I started doing that in high school, and I continue doing that to this day. I don't really use that packet specifically anymore, but I really want to like find interesting details about my character that only I would know as the character. Like, I remember one of my favorite questions from this packet was, what would your character's epitaph be? What would they want written on their tombstone? Which I always thought was an interesting question.
Oh, that is interesting.
Or, you know, like, what is one thing that your character wishes they could have had a chance to say to their deceased, you know, parent? Or, you know, something like that. Like, really specific, and then you kind of build a character by knowing all of these really intimate details, because once you can answer questions about like what someone would do in situations like that, you can kind of bring that back into whatever situations you find yourself in. And so I guess I should confess that I rarely create a character for a campaign, and I just kind of create a bunch of characters, and then I just kind of figure out which one I want to pick. And if I have a character that's a little too general, then I go back and I do really enjoy like the flaws and character traits that they have in the D&D like handbook for creating a character, because I think that those like flaws and secrets are part of what make characters really, really interesting, you know, because that's where the depth is, because their flaws are what make them more realistic
and interesting
and unpredictable, because, you know, when you poke at something that's really personal to someone, they're going to react, and, you know, the same is true for a character. So that's generally kind of where I go when I'm creating a character for D&D.
See, it's funny that you mentioned the packets, 'cause I still have all of my packets from that class.
Yeah, those were great. I mean, that was a really good tool, I gotta say. If you do
cool.
it,
I'd actually kind of like to see a copy of that packet if you still got it.
I mean, I remember it took a long, like the first time I did it, it took like an hour to answer all of those questions, maybe more, if I was like really taking it seriously.
I'll try to dig some of those out for you, Zach.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe we might even
maybe I'll use that.
I think it might be an intellectual property kind of thing. So we'll figure it out. But
well, we could link to perhaps the textbook or book it's from.
I mean, I'm sure it was just something he got off the internet somewhere.
Yeah,
it's from some handbook.
I'm sure we can figure it out, and we'll have more information in the description whether or not we have it. So if it is there, cool. If it's not, we'll figure it out.
Could be useful for us anyway.
Yeah. Zach, what about you?
So Xanathars is really helpful. I hardly ever use it unless I'm forced to. Same with like the bonds, flaws, ideals things. I like having that stuff, but I hardly ever think to make it. Usually what I do is I'll start at essentially episode 1 of the campaign, like where we begin, and work backwards. Generally, I think like I want to play this class, you know, and I'll pick a race to like match it or whatever I want to play. And then I think, well, how did an orc rogue get where he is? And then you work backwards, like, well, he was doing this, and then, you know, you work it all the way back until you figure it out. And I kind of
add
do
details.
It that way. Yeah, just like sprinkle them along, like, and I do some passes on it backwards essentially. And then once I actually start playing with the character, that's where the personality kind of comes in. Like, I need some time to actually figure out, you know, the quirks and
how
the
you play
attitude.
Them.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess in some ways that's kind of what I did with Ezra as well, because we brought him into the current campaign, you know, where we knew where he was going to be introduced, and then we had rough ideas, and, you know, me and Johnny were talking back and forth of what happened early on, and then working the spots in between what happened between A and B.
Well, my last character was Deanna the monk, and so like I was like, I want to play a monk. Why is a monk here? It's like, well, she's not a monk anymore. She's not at the temple anymore. Why is that? Well, maybe she got kicked out. Why'd she get kicked out? Stealing shit. Oh, so she's a thief. Cool. So then I like put points into like stealth and stuff. So, you know, it's all worth like, why did she get kicked out? Well, her master was a dick, blah, blah, blah. And then I have this cool relationship with my master, you know? And so it's just kind of like looking at it, asking why, coming up with an answer, and then that branches out in the morning.
And one of the good things being the DM for Deanna was that it was ambiguous in a way that I could add in my own things and be like, hey, what do you think of this like small detail that I can branch off of? And you were like, yeah, cool, that works. Or maybe not. I didn't picture that being how it was before. And so that gives me the opportunity to tweak it a bit and make sure that it fits your character. And then once it does, then roll with it. Because we had a whole arc where Deanna was kicked out, and the master of that monastery was like, I don't like you, blah, 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 kind of thing. And then you ended up kicking his ass.
It was very end. Yeah, it was like we had this whole character arc of like my redemption and everything. It was great. It made for really good storytelling just coming out of the...
Would have been really embarrassing if you lost.
Would have been really embarrassing, yeah.
I mean, would it have though? I mean, the master winning in the end, it's like, well, I mean, it's either, well, you know, he was your master. It is what it is. Or it's like, dang, you kicked his ass.
It's better storytelling if I go off, have my adventures level up, come back, and now I'm better.
And
whatever.
And then you're just this big guy. And
I mean, look, not all good movies end that way. Look at Rocky.
True.
I haven't seen Rocky.
Well, oh my God.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Look, I've been meaning to for you. Okay, I'll watch it for the next podcast.
All right, yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's just embarrassing for you. I can't believe you just admitted that.
I didn't. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'll admit it. I'm fully embarrassed right now.
You should watch it. It's very good.
I will.
So
does it take place around Christmas? It might even be timely.
Maybe. I don't know. But
I don't think it
the
does.
last thing that I wanted to say about Backstories is there was this one thing that I found on the internet. It's called knives. And what?
Yeah, you've been real big on knives for a long time.
And what the thing is it's similar to what you said, Daniel. The questions that you need to ask about your character is certain things that your character, like a list of things that your character has either experienced or what they hold dear, who is important to them, if they committed a crime, if they were falsely accused of a crime. It's like a list of different things that your DM can pull one of those knives out and then branch off an entire side quest or arc for your character. That I will definitely link into the description with credit to whoever made it, because I've definitely used it for all of my characters, and I've kind of forced you guys to make those so that I at least had some sort of character arc for you guys as well. But
they're pretty cool. I really think that's the whole point of making the backstory too, is not only to like get to know your character better, but to give your DM something to play with and like something to plan
and give
around.
you a reason to be invested in the story. So I think, I think that's just about sums up.
I think you shouldn't. I want to let all those people out there know though, don't paint yourself into a box. Do whatever you like. There are no rules. Yeah. If you don't like any of the tips that we're giving, or you don't like the knives, or you don't think that your character needs to have specific things, you're fucking right. Your character doesn't. Nobody can tell you otherwise. That's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's the whole point of D&D.
I would also say, if you don't like your character, if you play a session with the character and something's not working, change it in the next one. Maybe just retcon it. It's fine. You know, you can workshop it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a game, and the whole point of the game is to have fun. And so if you start off your character in one way and you're like, I don't like this
isn't working,
change it. Go for it.
Maybe
it doesn't
they're a
matter.
little happier. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Even talk to your DM and be like, hey, do you mind if I play a different character? And I'm sure they'd be like, absolutely.
They'll be happy to murder that character.
If they're not, then you have a problem.
Get a new DM.
Exactly.
You didn't hear from me though.
So anyways, with backstories out of the way, Zach, you had something that you wanted to talk about.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to discuss like D&D and established universes. Like we've all played Star Wars D&D, and you know, some other ones. So I wanted to talk about like games that we've played in these universes, or campaigns we would like to play, like universes we'd like to set these games in.
Oh yeah.
So like, for example, we've all played Star Wars. That's super popular, and that was hella fun. I've also played a Fallout game once, which was really cool. It was all about like, we were exploring the sewers and we had like a RADS meter and hunger meter we had to keep track of, and I thought that was really fun. There was another one I played. Never mind. But I would like one day, maybe, I think it would be fun. Bear with me on this. I think it would be really cool to run a Power Rangers campaign. Where,
that'd be cool.
Like, you know, each ranger is a different class and they all have their unique skill sets. Your DM's kind of like a Zordon figure who's like giving them missions. Maybe have a little monster of the week thing with some overarching plot, big main villain on the moon. I think it'd be pretty cool. No one will ever play it with me, but hey, I think.
How do you diversify the characters?
What's that?
How do you diversify the player characters?
Well, because you'd have like different classes for each different color.
Maybe you could pick which universe of Power Ranger you would want to do. That'd be cool.
Well, yeah, so like the obvious choice is like Mystic Force, but I actually think like Lost Galaxy would probably be pretty good because you have like the space exploration aspect of it. But every time, you know, people get like different weapons and different powers, there's all sorts of different abilities the Rangers can use on these types of things.
I don't really know anything about Power Rangers. That's why I think I'm missing context.
All the Rangers get different abilities throughout the show. Like they're all on the same team, but they have different special skills. That's it. So
right.
I
thought the only thing that differentiated them was their color.
No, like you could actually pretty easily assign each ranger a class, depending on which season. But yeah, you could make it work with like the different classes. Yeah,
that's cool.
I think, you know, something that'd be really cool, you know, would be playing that Stargate one that I was talking about last episode.
I think that sounded really interesting, yeah.
I think that'd be fun because there's a lot of lore and exploration that you can do there, a lot of different things. And then also, I think, just for me, I love Ghostbusters. I'd love to play a Ghostbusters RPG.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, because the board game by Cryptozoic is one of my favorite board games. It's really satisfying to capture the ghosts, and I think...
That sounds great, actually.
I think doing that as, you know, an RPG, and with having a campaign story where you're, like, hosting your own franchise somewhere, and it doesn't matter where it is, I think that could be cool. And then also the last one I can think just right now off the top of my head, I'm sure maybe as we're talking more, some others might pop up, but I think there could be a lot of good things that you could do with like a Pokemon RPG. I think there's a lot of
idea too.
Things you could do.
Well, like you've been really playing cool. an Avatar.
Oh yeah, that too. I that was the other thing I thought I forgot about it. But yeah, Avatar has such a
like how's that translated?
Avatar has such like, you know, wealth of lore as well, and you know, like the person I was playing that game with, he did a really good job about creating his own custom, you know, player's handbook and different classes. You know, he made the Kyoshi warrior. He made, you know, different bending styles. I think. Yeah,
the bending's pretty obvious, but yeah, you could do a whole lot more in terms of classes.
I think that Avatar would be perfectly suited to do an RPG campaign. If somebody made it an official book with it, I think it could be very successful.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of stories to tell. Like, you don't have to be part of the Avatar's crew. You don't have to do anything related to
Just
the Avatar.
bending alone is such a creative power.
And there's so many stories to do. And the other cool thing with the Avatar series in general is that there's a huge timeline that you can go into any section of it. Like, you could go, way a couple centuries before, Avatar Roku and Yang Chen and all the other avatars that are in, the series that you just don't know about. You can just go into any one of them. You could go into the future. There's options. You could go into, just an alternate universe where what if Aang never came back? And what if the Avatar just died? And you just go off a campaign of, the Fire Nation is still taking over. That could be kind of cool.
That would be really fun. I'd play it. Johnny, what do you got?
So I'd like to hear what Daniel has, if he has anything, before I say mine.
I do. You guys ever play Gloomhaven?
No, dude,
it sounds familiar.
I've always seen it on Amazon around it's like $100 and something.
It's a big ass board game, right?
It's a cool game. So basically, what the game is it is a game. It is a board game, I guess you could call it, but it's also kind of like a modular, expansive tabletop RPG, because basically you have a character that's consistent that you level up that requires a lot of experience, very similar to Dungeons and Dragons, and that character goes through a campaign of different scenarios. So basically every different mission is a scenario. In between each mission, you kind of can follow up on tips or contracts that you've found to go a multitude of different paths. And the map, as you progress through it, you can kind of only do one campaign per box, but one campaign is 100 scenarios. So it's something stupid, 200 hours worth of content per box. And as you go through each scenario, you unlock new classes and new abilities and new gear and armors and stuff. So what I would do is I would adapt that concept and do Monster Hunter.
Ooh. That's a very good idea.
Where basically you have a character, and as opposed to it being a game where it's diversified by classes, it's all about the gear that you collect.
Weapons.
And the gear that you collect is based off of the monsters you choose to fight and what parts you have available. So you can do, you can choose to do the mission where you do the Cthulhu Yaku and the, Baroth, and that allows you to get some big club, or you could do the Tobi Kadachi and the, the Great Jagras, and then you could get a sweet, bow or something. And then, you could continue on through the game and then get increasingly more difficult quests until you hit max level and you want to start over.
That sounds pretty rad.
Right, that does actually sound really cool.
Capcom, if you're listening, that's free.
I just gave you $1 million idea for free. All I want is a thank you note inside of the box when I purchase it.
I think that would be a great idea, and I think it would be super easy to convert that. I think it'd be super easy. Anyways.
That'd be fun.
So the reason why I was waiting to see what Daniel said was because I think a Cyberpunk
I knew you were going to say this.
TTRPG would be so cool. And I'm pretty sure they have some sort of TTRPG already. I would love to play one, though.
Johnny, I'm going to blow your mind right now. The game is based off of a tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it came
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea.
I'm going to blow your mind right now. Yeah, before it was a video game, it was a tabletop RPG.
Is that the Cyberpunk 2020? Because I saw some...
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that it was a TTRPG. I thought it was a book for some reason, but that's super interesting.
Ask and you shall receive. There it is. Made just for you.
So there you go, Johnny. You was so good. It was made 20 years ago.
Exactly. I think that would definitely be something that I would be super interested in, and
it definitely is a setting that lends itself to a lot of role playing opportunities. You could have a lot of fun in that kind of world.
Right. I think that just the hacking part and what kind of skills you make your character into, what kind of classes you would do.
And the cyber dicks.
I think that would be really cool. And the cyber dicks, of course. You can't ignore the cyber dicks. The other one that and this is just a TTRPG system that I would love to play, would be Call of Cthulhu. I would love to do something like that where it's very eldritch horror type of...
Gonna blow your mind again. Does exist. Okay.
No, I know.
All right.
I know that that's a thing.
Okay.
I know that one's a thing. Critical Role actually did a one-shot with Taliesin Jaffe.
Yeah, I've always been curious
DMing
about that game. It seems really cool because I do love that whole setting and everything. I think it's... But, yeah, I haven't checked it out.
If you're interested, I mean... I might be able to add a link. I don't know if we can with copyright, but anyways, if we can,
add an Amazon
we'll have a link,
I guess.
Well, I was just gonna have a link to that one shot that Critical Role did. That way, if anybody's interested in how it plays,
I don't think we'd have a problem linking that. That's.
I don't think so. But, anyways, yeah, it might be there, it might not be, but go ahead and check it out.
Another couple as well. I think Firefly would be really fun to do some stuff in, because I don't know. I don't think any of you have watched Firefly, if I'm remembering correctly.
I have not.
I have.
Okay. But, like, I think that'd be really fun where you're just a band of people trying to survive out in the universe, and you're just doing odd jobs for different people. And, like, one of the best episodes, in my opinion, was actually supposed to be the pilot, which, of course, didn't air as the pilot. It aired, like, the second or third episode. But it was, I think, the train heist. I'm pretty sure that was the pilot. And basically, they have their flying spaceship, and they're, it's a Western mixed with sci-fi, and they're doing a train heist in science fiction, whatever, and they're flying their ship over the train, and they're doing a heist.
That'd be a dope scenario.
It's pretty cool. I just think like doing stuff like that would be really fun. So really Firefly was one that I thought. I know they have one, the Marvel RPG. I think Marvel would be really fun to do some stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Superheroes are always a good well to tap, this kind of thing, of course.
There was another one I just thought of, but it's lost, but that's...
I'm sure it was really good.
Once we stop recording, that's when you're going to remember.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man, I think it's fun to like take these systems and like put a nice like skin of something you love over it, and just play puppets with your action figures, that kind of thing. Yeah,
I was thinking at some point to make a Fallout one, but I'm pretty sure they have some sort of conversion. But anyways, yeah, I totally think that making the setting is really the most important thing, and then you can figure out the rules as you go. I mean,
we should play some. We should do a little mini campaign in Cyberpunk.
We could. I mean, we could give it a shot. I can definitely look at those rules.
They reissued, because of the game that's coming out, they reissued a new set of the rules this year.
Right on.
That'd be fun. Check it out.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I don't know specifically what Burn Bright is, but I feel Burn Bright is also along the lens of a cyberpunk sci-fi, I think, but I could be completely wrong. I just see it advertised on Roll20 all the time. That's the vibe I got from it, was something sci-fi-esque like that, but I could be completely wrong.
So also, this is pretty cool. If we do play, so this new 4th edition of Cyberpunk they released is actually set up as a prequel set to the game.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
That's pretty cool. Right on.
Anyway,
So maybe
sorry
we'll
to
do
keep
something
bringing it
like
back
that.
to that. I thought it was really interesting to just mention.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Talking XP. If you like what you heard, we release new episodes every third Tuesday of each month. If you have any ideas for topics or any other comments or questions, you can always find us on any of the social media platforms. We're Talking XP or Talking_XP. So make sure to level up, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.